A woman and her 2 children drifted at sea for 5 days, while her husband selfishly hoarded food on the boat. The 2 children were already starving, but the man showed no compassion, even plotting against the kids. Just when it seemed the woman had become numb, she suddenly grabbed a spear and, before the man could act, she swung it hard, and in just a few strikes, he was out of breath. She tossed him into the sea for the sharks, solving her immediate problem but losing her trust in him. The woman and her 2 children were stranded at sea, left with no food. She became too weak to move, while the kids could only lick their fingers to ease their hunger. Amidst despair, the woman suddenly felt hope as she realized they had reached the edge of a small island. She swiftly navigated the small boat to shore and soon reached land. Wading through the water with her 2 children, she felt overwhelmed with emotion upon touching the soft sand and cried out. To have a temporary stay, the woman set up a tent by the shore and, with her daughter's help, dragged luggage from the boat. The woman unpacked her suitcase, intending to stay for a while, but she didn't know there was a more suitable place not far from here. Afterward, the woman and her 2 children explored the shore and were delighted to find a clean river and a banana tree. But she was not happy for long. The woman rushed her children back to the campsite as it began to rain heavily. The strong seaside wind caused the newly pitched tent to sway, soaking the woman inside despite her shelter. She used a wet blanket to shield her children from the elements while protecting them with her body. The rain stopped, and the sun shone in a blue sky with clouds. The boy appeared very familiar with this. He led the woman to a thatched cottage and knew all about it. But the woman didn't know that this little boy grew up here. The old swing and the attic full of spider webs could prove that he had lived here. His parents had sadly died at sea, to have a chance of being rescued. The woman built a beacon tower on the mountain, and they spent their first night on the island after dark. Although it was a deserted island for the woman, for the 2 kids, it was paradise, with all sorts of fascinating marine creatures making them very happy. The little kids quickly grew into mischievous troublemakers, causing chaos together. They playfully captured a wild boar to provoke its mother, finding the chase amusing. The mother boar chased them all the way, and they ran until they tripped and fell into the mud. The wild boar and its mother did not chase the escapees. The woman lovingly cared for the mischievous children, never scolding them, but they always had questions. She blushed at the awkward questions and could only temporarily avoid answering. Although she couldn't teach them specific subjects, she utilized her free time to impart valuable cultural lessons and useful knowledge to the kids. A few days later, while the woman was distracted, Charlie secretly took the girl fishing at the seaside. The rope holding the boat was washed away by waves, causing fear. A shark approaches 2 people unaware as their boat drifts far away. Coral reefs nearby are currently blocking the shark's path. It has become dark while they wait. After a while, Charlie suddenly comes up with a clever idea. He carefully cuts a few slits in the fish that Amy caught, and then throws it far away from the small boat into the water. Once the shark bites down, they swim desperately back to the small boat, employing this clever and effective trick to escape quickly. In the end, Charlie skillfully manages to avoid the lurking shark, and soon Amy's mother finds them both. But she is far too indulgent with her children. She rarely scolds them much, only says a few gentle, simple words. A few days later, heavy rain disrupts the woman's plans to spend quality time with her children at home. The roof unexpectedly leaks, dampening the bed. The woman rushes the children to the roof for repairs, fearing they'll catch a cold in the rain. So she hurriedly tells the children to go inside, while she stays outside in the heavy rain. She underestimated a minor issue and caught a severe cold. Instruct them to be buried here, as this direction faces their hometown. Charlie and Amy organized a funeral and sent flowers for the woman. They had to rely on themselves to survive without her care. Amy was 18 10 years later. Charlie planned to go to the sea to find her a special gift. He dove into the sea for shells, then returned to the boat and opened one to retrieve a large pearl. He carefully washed it by hand and then handed it to Amy. Initially, Amy disliked the pearl, but later she loved it and turned it into a hair accessory for Charlie. Charlie believed there were many ordinary ones in the sea. Amy felt hurt and returned to the house alone. She admired the hair accessory in the mirror while unconsciously touching her slightly protruding chest. Her emerging desire for beauty made her feel the allure of femininity, even if she didn't fully understand it. Charlie, previously uninterested, secretly watched Amy, believing she would engage in mysterious activities as she matured. Peaking this time ignited a strong inner heat. To release his urges, he provocatively challenged sharks at the beach, even jumping into the water. He excitedly told Amy about the thrilling experience and how useless the sharks were. He expected Amy to admire him, but she called him a big fool instead. Charlie, feeling insulted, grabbed Amy in an argument, and they both fell to the ground. However, after this intimate encounter, They both felt something different inside. Charlie was curious but dismissive, while Amy deeply pondered the matter. Amy woke up one day to find blood on her bed, fearing she was seriously ill. Just as fear overwhelmed her, she recalled her mother's words, suddenly finding clarity and even a spark of anticipation. She left home to cleanse herself by the waterfall, but Charlie unexpectedly arrived. Charlie, a straight guy, found nothing to be happy about. On that day, Charlie and Amy were intrigued to see that all the island visitors were dressed neatly and cleanly. I nearly caused a misunderstanding, but Charlie's English helped clear up the doubts for both sides. The captain was further surprised that the two exhibited noble etiquette. Despite their awkwardness, he suspected they were in noble territory. He discovered that they had been stranded on the island since a childhood shipwreck. The captain had his daughter meet the first arrivals as a sign of respect. When Erin first saw Charlie dressed lightly, she blushed instantly. Charlie and Amy, unfamiliar with the world, regarded Erin's silk fabric as a treasure. Despite the awkwardness of the scene, Erin viewed it as an opportunity to make friends, giving each person a colorful ribbon and seeing their joy. Erin and her father didn't know what to say. Amy hosted a lavish seafood feast to thank her visiting guests that night. Erin envied the island life as it was her first time seeing such unique utensils. Amy served a bowl to a sailor who oddly did not show any gratitude. He teased by sticking out his tongue. Amy initially saw him as a guest and didn't mind, but he unexpectedly became fixated on the pearl in her hair. The following day, Erin brought clothes to organize, but Charlie seemed uncomfortable wearing them. Erin stared at Charlie intently instead of laughing. And now, seeing another woman for the first time, Charlie developed different feelings for Erin. Meanwhile, Amy barged in at the wrong time. To break the initial awkwardness, Erin assumed they were bored on the island, but unexpectedly, they began dancing excitedly in front of her. Erin shook her head at the sight and resolved to demonstrate what real dancing looked like. Erin took Charlie's hand to dance, but Charlie had never interacted with women before. Erin captivated them, oblivious to how it sidelined Amy. Early the next morning, Amy attempted to imitate Erin by applying makeup, but did it poorly, just putting it on her face haphazardly. When Charlie came downstairs, he found her and couldn't help but laugh at her makeup attempt. He encouraged Amy to hurry and then left happily. This sudden change left Amy feeling very disappointed, so she went to the pond to bathe alone, unaware that a lecherous sailor was watching her. On the other hand, although Eileen invited Charlie to go fishing at the sea, her mind was not on that at all. She wanted Charlie to keep her company on the boat. Charlie, unable to resist temptation, took Eileen's hand and lay down with her. Just when it seemed that Charlie had completely succumbed, he soon felt quite uneasy. His unfair actions towards Amy intensified his guilt. Despite Eileen's attempts to convince him, he rushed home. Amy was at home, pressured by the sailor to disclose where the pearls were hidden. However, the sailor was also attracted by Amy's beauty, and just as he was about to make a move, Charlie returned and stopped him. Charlie fought the sailor but was outmatched and ended up getting shot in the arm. The gunshot drew others who tried to calm the sailor, but he refused to listen. Just as Charlie was about to be harmed, a rescuer intervened, but the sailor unexpectedly lashed out and hit the rescuer as well. Charlie seized an opportunity to escape, but the relentless sailor fired another shot at him as he ran. Charlie escaped successfully because he missed. The sailor pursued him to the seaside but slipped, getting his gun wet and scraping his forehead in the fall. In a panic, Charlie saw a shark in the water and suddenly had an idea. Then he jumped into the sea to hide. The sailor, seeing Charlie jump into the sea, instinctively followed. However, the blood from a head injury, he had attracted a shark. When he realized the danger and attempted to defend himself with a dagger, it was too late, and he was fatally bitten. After Charlie hurried home, Amy feared he would leave her for a new girl. However, he soon revealed that the incident made him realize Amy was the most important person to him. Amy quickly went from sadness to joy upon hearing this. They stood by the sea the next day. After sending off Erin and the captain, they resumed their carefree life. A year later, Amy had a baby with Charlie, and they lived happily together on the deserted island.